everybody. Welcome to season 3 of Our Love Journey, the podcast.
Yep, it's been 3 seasons already.
Hectic.
It's crazy, yeah.
But our seasons are quite short.
They're very short.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, a season is a season. No
season is a
maganja.
season. This season, we were hoping we'd have some guests on, but we don't know with the lockdown. So hopefully we'll work it out because there's some interesting conversations I want to have that I don't think we qualified to have, and we don't like talking about stuff we haven't experienced personally.
Yeah,
etc.
we want to get people who are, who specialize in certain areas, but hopefully, as time goes, the country will open up and we'll be able to get some experts.
Yeah, but thank you to everybody. I put out a post when we showed our new cover. Yes, if you didn't see it, we've got a new cover.
Yeah.
People suggested some topics. There was a lot. I've taken notes of them, and we're going to try cover as many as possible.
Yeah.
To get started, let me remind you guys of our format. We have our reviews. Thank you to everybody who continues to leave a review. So we read those, then we get into our topic, and then we get into a hot Q&A where you guys email us a question. What's our email address?
I think it's info@ourlovejourney.co.za.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So you can, we'll drop
It's
it
been so
down.
long. I haven't used that email in such a long time.
We'll drop down the email address and you can send your question there. Okay, cool. Let's start with today's review. This one's from Raikane Siretlo, and he says, wow. Thanks so much for this motivation words. As a single young man, I have learned a lot from this. I know for sure my priorities are going to be well aligned. Ke a leboga.
Sure, that's great. It's always great getting guys reviewing stuff because as guys, we don't do like the little stuff, the detailed stuff. So it's great. It's a great review. I think this podcast is great if you are a young man and you are looking to get into marriage or you're in a serious relationship. I think it's great because you get a kind of like a sneak preview of what it is inside, like what it actually looks like. Because a lot of times, I know when we were dating, I don't think I had like a good idea of what marriage was like.
I would send you people and then you didn't like them. You're like, nope.
Yeah, but those people were also, they were too deep.
Yeah, he hated all my suggestions.
Guys, Mpoomy would send some of the most, like, I wonder people who take marriage as a job, like, mafuga every day to be married.
Isn't that what it is?
It is, but it's not all it is.
Okay.
There's a lot of fun in marriage, and a lot
is.
of those people didn't show that.
That's the truth, but their wives did, and that's why I suggested their husbands.
Yeah, sure.
Needless to say, but you ended up finding a few that you liked.
I did, and
it's important.
Even those ones, even the hardcore ones, I would learn what I'd learn, and then whatever was too much for me, I'd be like,
no, thank you.
This is where I draw the line. Yeah.
So thanks, guys. We love it when the guys listen, watch, and comment. So today's topic, I'm excited about this one. We got married young.
Yeah.
Would we do it again? Firstly, I want you to kind of give a story time of how we got into getting married and our age and stuff.
I'm trying to think about it. It's so weird how we got married. I think it was just a natural progression of our relationship. I think we were dating, and I think we obviously had our ups and downs in our dating.
Yeah.
And I think when things started to get good and better, and we started to realize that, okay, like we belong together, or at least we want to be together. At the time, I think the natural thing was to say, okay, let's get married. And also, and I think a lot of people don't talk about this side of marriage, but I'm going to talk about it. I think there was a lot of it was building.
Yeah.
Was we realized that as two individual people, we had a better chance building together.
Yeah, that's true.
And it made so much sense in our current state.
Yeah.
Because one, we knew that we want to spend our lives together. And so why not then start working together?
Yeah.
And we couldn't, you can, but for as long as you're dating, and if you have Christian principles like us, where we do believe in not living together when you're dating.
Yeah.
And at the time, a form of celibacy.
Shaky.
That's very shaky. But when you have those kind of values, the natural progression was again to say, okay, if we want to start building together and we want to put our resources together and kind of cultivate a working system for both of us, and our futures are aligned, then it only makes sense to get married.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think I got to a point where we were dating, I think for about 3, we're going on 3 years.
2.5 years.
No way, it's 3 years.
We only dated 2.5 years.
We're going on about
I'm
3
waiting
years.
for you to say what you're gonna say because I know that the numbers don't add up.
We're going on about 3 years, and we didn't have much going on in our careers.
Yeah.
We were really, really trying to, like, stuff was really blurry. So we kind of just had each other. Like, that was the most exciting part of our lives. We just had each other. And our relationship was getting serious. I was trying to start businesses, and you were a good resource to my business, and I was a good resource to your business.
True.
And you know what? We are human beings, and we were young, and things started escalating. And I think our Christian values, personally, my Christian values, it was just like, dude, we can't do certain things. We can't act like this. We need to get married. I'm not going to do this. If you want to sleep over at my place, we need to get married. Things like that. And it became a conversation, but it started as a really chilled conversation. Chilled conversation. And you weren't opposed to the idea. But I think I was very firm in saying, hey, if this is what you want to do, we have to get married. And simply because I had been in relationships where I was wifing and
you didn't have a ring.
And I didn't have a ring, and I didn't even have the commitment of the other person. Never mind the ring, I was very young, but I was out here wifing, doing every wife duty you can imagine. So by the time we started dating, I was, you were, I don't know, fortunate or unfortunate that I was done with that. And I was just like, not happening. Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically, I mean, the story of our marriage. That's how we got married.
You're very holding on, like very reluctant to sharing.
I'm not reluctant to sharing. It's really that. Like, I think from my perspective, and also, I mean, obviously it's a joint perspective, but for me, what the most prominent thing that made sense was that at the time, also, we were living in 2 different places.
Yeah.
And we could barely afford living in those places. Yeah. So it didn't make sense. We both paying different rents.
Yeah.
And like we're seeing each other every day
and sharing our meals.
And we're sharing our meals, but like the system isn't working for that.
Yeah.
So that's where I was coming from. I know you obviously were coming from that. Like you weren't comfortable wifing without.
I think as a man, you were.
The certificate.
Men are fine.
Yeah.
Men are chill.
To me that worked great. I was just like, yes, this is it. No, what? No laundry. Come on.
No, but and at the time we were 22 when we decided that we want to get married.
Yeah.
And we spoke to my parents. My parents are fine. My parents weren't reluctant. Like I think they kind of had seen you.
I think your parents had a different idea of.
Well, my parents got married young. My mom was 23 when she got married.
But also, I think they had a different idea of where I was, like
financially. Yeah, they thought
because of obviously
the idols. Yeah.
So people thought that I had it together when at the time I really did not.
Yeah. And your parents?
My parents were. So when I went to them, because firstly, I didn't introduce you while we were dating.
You did. You took me to your mother's house.
Yes, babe.
Sorry.
We're not there yet.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't introduce you until we knew that we wanted to get married.
Yes.
So for the entirety of our dating,
they
didn't know you.
Yeah.
So for them, I'd never introduced anyone to my parents. Well, maybe my matric ball date, but not as a girlfriend. It does not count. But I'm talking about it like a serious girlfriend to say, hey, this is a serious girlfriend. She's in my life, and we're trying to establish something. I'd never done that. So when I went to them and I said, okay, I think I want to get married, and it was like they
just met your girlfriend.
They just met you. Yeah. It was so shocking for them.
Yeah.
But I think when they started getting to know you, like the second time they met you, I think it made sense.
Yeah.
They actually warmed up to the idea. And then by the third time, they were like for you. Like they were on your side.
Yeah.
In fact, they wanted it more than me. I'm joking. I've always wanted it more. But it was a journey of, like I said, it's a journey of you have to understand what you want. And then you also, I think a lot of times we put a lot of pressure on people to see things the way we see things.
Yeah, and it's never going to be
It's
that way.
never the
Yeah.
case,
At the end of the day, I mean, think about it. We were 22,
We were 22.
wanting to get married, and
At the time, my mom could see what's happening in my bank account, and she could tell that this guy maybe isn't
a
ready.
little shaky.
It's a little shaky, but yeah, I think eventually we got both blessings of our parents.
yeah.
And yeah.
And then if you don't know our story, we lobola'd on the 14th of January. So we told our parents in
December.
November.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
November
November.
that would be sending a letter.
Yes. So November, you sent the letter because you knew December you had all these gigs, so you'd have enough money for lobola. And then December, the 14th of Jan, we lobola'd in the morning, and then in the evening we had
Not December, January.
January the 14th, we lobola'd in the morning, and then we had our wedding ceremony with 50 people.
Yeah.
And then we drove home that very evening, and that Sunday Brendan had to work. So we didn't even have a honeymoon.
No,
None of that
nothing.
fancy stuff. My dress was 900 rand. Your suit was from Zara at a sale.
Yeah.
Honestly, guys, but it was beautiful.
It was great, and we could start our lives together. We
Yeah.
could finally put our resources together, and
Yeah.
our eggs in one basket.
And it's been working pretty well.
It turned out great. Turns out to be one of the best decisions I think we made.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the next segment of this podcast is what we wish we knew when we got married.
What I wish I knew is that marriage magnifies everything you saw in dating. So the red flags in dating
Are the same red flags.
are the same red flags magnified. The green flags, is there such a thing called the green flag?
We'll
The
create
green
it.
stuff, I think it grows over time. I could say so. And what I also wish I knew is that I have to find, as a person, that I have to have confidence in myself and not wait from it from the other person. I have to have the love for myself and not wait for it from the other person, and that my partner, my husband, will not fulfill me. Like, you won't close the gap. I have to do that myself. So you'll never be my happiness. You'll never be my everything. You basically
I will be your happiness. part
yes,
of it.
like you add on to that. But
Yes.
if I don't have my own internal happiness, no matter how much happiness you bring on, it doesn't matter. It won't last. And I also wish I knew that some of the things that made me, the best parts of me, would also kind of be a struggle in our relationship. For example, I'm a brilliant leader. I've been a brilliant leader my whole life, at school, in sports teams, in my business, etc. But then that leadership thing, when it comes into the marriage, now I'm trying to lead you, and it's
It's a problem.
it's a problem. That's not how it's supposed to be. So you have to learn to, I can almost say, control your character, mold your character to fit into your marriage. I also wish I knew that finances are the least of marital problems. Does that make sense? No.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, for us, I just thought if we could get our finances right, everything would be perfect.
Oh,
And that's not the truth.
yeah.
That's not the truth. Yes, finances are important, and when it's really bad, it's really bad. But there's more that we have to work on as a couple and as individuals, and money can either make that worse or better. Yeah.
I agree. Just to jump onto that point, I think also what money does is that it, like you said, more times than not, it kind of makes it exaggerates everything else.
Yeah.
Because that financial pressure kind of takes up so much of the strength that you would have to deal with whatever you're dealing with. So I think that's why a lot of times money would play an issue. But what I think what I wish I knew, oh man, this is gonna be so tough, because personally, with questions like this, I never ever wish I knew anything, because I think part of the journey is learning.
Absolutely.
And part of kind of to get the outcome that I think we've gotten to now at this point, it's really a combination of all those lessons
Yeah.
and all those mistakes that we made in our earlier times
Yeah.
in the marriage. But I mean, if I really have to, I would say probably similar to what you said, but I think I probably had to do more work on myself. Maybe get to know myself a little bit better. That would have made it easier. You know, marriage is hard, but it would have made it less hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so working on yourself as a human being and just understanding your triggers, understanding your trauma, because we all do have
that's
trauma.
important.
And that's a lot of times that's what things where they stem from.
Yeah.
Anything that happens usually happens from a place of, you know, this happened to me and I deal with this a certain way, and you bring those tendencies into a place where it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And so then you hurt your partner because you're hurt.
Yeah.
So I think maybe doing a lot more work on myself, maybe doing personal counseling is a good start to understand who you are
Yeah.
and what makes you, why you're such a strong leader, you know?
Yeah.
Because, or in my case, why am I so reluctant to being helped? Why am I so, I'm very much a loner.
Yeah.
I do things on my own. You know, why that matters. And you realize, oh, actually, I need affirmation. So to compensate for that, I overcompensate. I take on a more like, okay, it's fine. No one needs to know. No one
Yeah.
needs to appreciate. No one needs to be, you know, things like that. It's like when you talk about it now, because now I know it, I'm aware of it with myself.
Yeah.
So now I can tell you that, babe, I need you to affirm me. Because otherwise I'm going to zone out
Yeah.
and I'm going to become this person who's just solely focused on his own life, and I will be my own cheerleader. And then I become unnice to
Yeah,
you.
nothing good
So
comes out.
so understanding things like that about yourself makes a huge difference if
Yeah.
you're gonna live with someone and spend the rest of your life with another person, so that they can in turn understand you. Because this is probably my last point on this, but here's another thing I wish I knew: you cannot change your partner.
Absolutely.
You cannot change your partner. You can only change yourself. And most times, if you want to change your partner, you should start by changing yourself, because
Yeah.
your partner is only reacting to what you're doing. So if your approach changes, then their approach changes.
Yeah.
And then they can start to realize, Guti, if in fact they did have an issue, why they had an issue.
Yeah.
And then they can work on it. But you
themselves,
cannot enforce change on someone. You have to change yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of marriage is that. And we were saying, I mean, we we're talking with our couple of friends the other time, because we've got couple friends now.
Yeah.
We didn't have this in season 2. But what we were saying was, there is something that happens. The more you get to know your partner, is that the more you guys become selfless. And I think every marriage hits a point, and this is, I guess, a tipping point. I hope we'll reach it. I feel like we're close, where we die to ourselves so much that everyone is constantly doing something for the other.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
the other person is always filled, because the other person is always working to fill that other person.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no one is lacking.
No one is lacking. No one is empty, unfulfilled. Yeah.
But it takes,
that.
it's a journey. That
Yeah.
is the journey of getting to a point where our selflessness aligns.
Sure. Incredible.
Yeah.
You split some bars. Okay. Would you do it again if you knew then what you know now?
Absolutely 1000%.
At 23?
At 23, because I'll tell you this, and I didn't know this when I got married, but I'm very much, I love family.
Yeah.
I love family, and I love being home. And I love being around my family. And this is something that I never realized that I loved, because, you know, when you're growing up as a child, all you want to do is leave home.
Yeah.
But I never realized how much time I actually spent at home. Even when I was growing up, I'm not a going out person.
Yeah. You had a phase though.
I had a phase, but it's because my job and I guess the excitement. But generally, my joy comes from being home and being with my family and being with you and being with the kids. And so the sooner you can start that, I think I'm the happiest I've ever been right now in my life. And why would I want to delay that?
Good point.
Would you do it again?
I would, definitely. And I'm going to take another angle towards this. It might ruffle some feathers. But I've had a conversation with a single lady who's in her 40s and who's doing extremely well in her career. She's beautiful and she just wants love. She just wants a stable relationship. Then I've got friends who are... I have quite old friends. I don't know why. I gravitate towards older women.
Yeah.
And my mom was telling me about her friend who's 51 now, or 49, between the two. And she's doing extremely well in her career. She's a leader in a great company. She's got it all. And she just says, Nomsa, sometimes I just want to go back to that. And based on my personality, I think had I not, and based on where my career is right now, and all the sacrifices we make as a couple, as a family, for not just your career, but specifically mine, now that we talk about me, I think had I not gotten married at 23, when I wasn't fully aware of my potential, where I didn't have a career, I don't think I would have done well in a relationship right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's faced a lot of older women who are doing extremely well, is because for women to have a career, you have to put in 10 times the hours. A good career, an amazing career, 10 times the hours, 10 times the effort. It takes a whole lot of sacrifice. And I could be wrong, but I think not a lot of men are secure enough to handle a woman who comes with all her stuff put together.
Well, I always say it's a combination of both. Men aren't secure enough to handle a woman who's coming with all of that.
Yeah.
And women aren't secure enough to be with a man
who doesn't come with all of that.
Who doesn't have all that.
And that's true.
And it's then it becomes...
That's the truth, because I would... and I was speaking to the lady, and she said, I asked her, does your partner have to earn more than you? And she said, well, not necessarily more than me, but I won't date someone who earns less than me, because I'm not compromising my lifestyle. Like I said, it goes back to that security thing. Like a man will just be like, no, they want to handle the bill, but she's used to a bill of X amount and he's used to a bill of X amount. And now she has to compromise to make him feel secure and safe. So that's kind of my angle. Where
that would be actually a great topic.
I think we should cover that as
we should get someone who's in that position.
We should. I think that's a very good topic. So just to say, I think God was very purposeful in allowing me to get married at a young age and where I was in my career, especially because I understand my personality, and I think you really understand my personality very well, and it happened at the right time. So I would do it again at 23, because I think had I not done it then, I don't think it would have happened for me.
It just wouldn't have been, and it's just... I think even for me, to be honest, not as much as you, because I know how determined you are.
Yeah.
And you can really commit to something. And like you say, when you commit to a career, it takes up so much of your time. And once you've established it to be like a running machine, it's very hard to split that same, like basically bringing someone into your life is taking away from what you've built. And your career becomes your child. Yeah. So it's basically like now you have to choose someone else over your child. And a lot of times
it's just
we
like
won't
not
do
happening.
that.
Yeah.
But I think God knew that we would have demanding careers and that the sooner we get to know each other and understand each other and become one, the better. Like now when you do those sacrifices,
we have a foundation.
I understand. We have a foundation that's very strong.
Very strong. We spend a lot of time together because we had so much time.
And the machine, watch this. The machine that is the baby is not the career.
Yes.
It's our marriage.
It's our marriage.
So it's like now the career is kind of it's not the end all
Yeah.
and be all.
Yeah.
Our marriage is that.
Yeah.
And so if you start building a career first, it
becomes
sometimes
trickier.
happens. It
Yeah,
becomes trickier because
yeah.
your career becomes the foundation.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But I think
mean,
even now,
this is just our
our personal
experience,
experience and perspective. And I think even now in our careers now, there's a lot of sacrifice happening on both ends. But constantly. And if you think about it, imagine if we were dating and these are the sacrifices
I
we're
just
making.
couldn't. I can't see myself canceling gigs for a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I can't see myself taking time off of my own work
Yeah.
for a girlfriend. In the same way, I don't see you
I would never.
like letting down your own career because Brendan wants you to
to
come
see me.
to more of his shows. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Who's this Brendan?
Exactly.
You know, but
Exactly.
now it's different.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's, in conclusion, I would do it again at the age I did it again. But please remember, this is our perspective. We're not
Yeah, and
saying
our experiences.
in our experience, we're not saying that's why
our journey.
people don't. Yeah, it's our love journey.
Yes.
So anyway, to sum it up, I've got a little quote, because normally we do a Q&A, but there's no questions yet. And I want to read this. At the end, it says, "Marrying young is not the end of my freedom. It means I want to travel and see the world, but with her by my side. It means I still like drinking in bars and dancing in clubs, but stumbling home with her at 2 a.m. and eating pizza in our underwear. It means I know that I want to kiss those lips every morning and every night before bed. If you see marriage as the end of your freedom, you're doing it wrong."
100%. I think marriage is freedom.
Absolutely.
It's
When you do it
freedom.
right.
Oh, when you do it right and when you find someone, it's like you are free to be yourself. You know, when we're dating, we're pretending most of the time.
Yep.
Anyway, that's a story
Story
for
for
another
another
day.
day.
Maybe another
topic.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it's been a good one.
Yeah, and I think year 4 for us, we are coming to our own. Like
Yeah, it's starting to make sense
it's
now.
starting to. It's just like
All those lessons. are paying
yeah,
off
it's
now.
it's starting to make a little more sense, and I think we're having a whole lot more fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of season 3 of Our Love Journey. We'll see you again next week, Friday.
Cheers.
This is our love story. This is our journey.